This is Sawyer. I want to go back to the Revelations 4:6. Well, I was talking about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and I read Revelation 6:1, which talks about the four living beings that a lot of translators translated as beasts, which is misleading entirely, because it meant bestial humans in one context, and living beings, two different words, and living beings in another context. Anyway, but then the support of that was Revelations 4:6-8, which talked about the four beasts full of eyes before and behind, first, second, and the fourth being in like manner to a lion, manner, mind, ways to a lion, and then calf and flying eagle, with the third being with a face like a human, each with 6 wings, who serve the kingdom of God. So I wanted to go into a little more depth on these four, because the fact that they each have 4 wings, I believe, is indicative that they are crews of individuals, and that each of the wings is like a small spacecraft, so that they're able to use to be observers for the kingdom of God, of the planet and the people on the planet and everything on the planet. Basically, they could be observing everything with their sophisticated, way above human technology cameras. However they do that. But so the first of those 4 living beings is of the like manner ways of an earth predator, a leader, king, a lion in the jungle, top of the food chain, so to speak, but in a predator kind of way. The second like manner ways is of a prey follower, a calf, more gentle nature. They don't they can live off, they don't live off of meat, they live off of grazing. Third like manner ways, actually that's not the case. The third was the face of a man, which was the face of a man goes into the term man is Hebrew Adam, which is a different designation from the male and female human beings, as it was given in Genesis. As the Adam, the first man, was actually the one that was given the breath of life to, that made this strain a living soul, is what it says in Genesis. And that's different than the male and female human beings that were created before that. So I think that's a differentiation here, and I think the calf is more, well, can be both. The living beings that have a predator basis to them, or a domesticated basis to them, or a servant base to them, or a follower base to them. Not that there can't be degrees of all things in all of them, but we're talking about these 4 living beings that have this general manner about them. And that probably means where they came from, their heritage, so to speak. But they're all serving the kingdom of God now, even with this nature. And that's probably what gives them the ability to observe different natures differently, because of the strain in which they came about. So that's the third being. The fourth is like manner ways of a flying eagle. Now, when I think flying eagle, when it's used in the New Testament, here's another way it's used, is for Matthew 24:28. For wherever the carcass, souls choosing death, is, there will the eagles, which I call Luciferian space aliens, be gathered together. So these 4 living beings, crews, are like these, except work for the kingdom of God. A huge difference. In other words, the fourth one, the eagles, the flying eagles, are like manner to Luciferian space aliens. So they may have graduated to a degree of service in the kingdom of God without necessarily being members of the kingdom of God. I don't know if they are or not. They're working for the kingdom of God. We know that, and they're working 24/7. So they have allegiance totally to the kingdom of God. So, but are they full-time members of the kingdom of God? We don't know from what was said here. The Luciferian space aliens are all comprised of the dropouts from previous classroom experiences with an older member of the kingdom of God in a face-to-face relationship, as of Jesus, of Moses, and as T and Do, as Do, of late. Now, the space aliens, they act meek, so they have the manner of a meek and the manner of the ways of peaceful, loving, except they also have their predatory self, which in their terms isn't so much domination by militarization, but it's kind of like a domination by their agenda, which is a self-based agenda of ego and body, genetic familia, family. So their priorities are who they think they are, and their families, and their genetic heritage, which goes back to the ones that were considered giants in Genesis 6. They were not giants necessarily. They might have been larger beings, larger than what we call humans, being 6 to 7 feet tall at the most. I guess now there's some there might be an 8-foot tall human. I don't know, but. So we don't know exactly what giant means in that sense. If all the beings were 4 foot, then a 5 foot or 6 foot looks like a giant, right? So, but they were in Genesis 6. They were considered mighty individuals, and I believe these, when they died or when they left the planet, or when they were in the service to the next level, and they were given a new vehicle that could serve the next level. That's when they became Luciferian space aliens, when they could they knew how the garden grew a lot more than those that were strictly earthbound and had never had a relationship with the level above human. So, I guess that's enough for the, since I quoted that Matthew 24:28, for wherever the carcass is, I'm saying the carcass is what's left over from the birth. So those are the ones that could have been born because they were potentially able to be seeded with next level information to grow further, and could have significantly attached with T and Do, either before their public, or during their public, or after their public, which is now. But there's also something T and Do said about how in the briefing that there were also some beings from among the space aliens from potentially different planets that at this time were offered to come to the Earth, give up their existing physical body, which is a sacrifice for them, because we grow attached. On the human level, we grow attached to our physical bodies, and logically so. We need to actually be attached to our physical bodies, and to keep them healthy and and thriving. And but the formula is for the next level is, before you can become a member in their kingdom, you have to be willing to get rid of your body consciously. And it doesn't mean necessarily of your own hand, but maybe it does mean that ultimatum, the result, ultimately. But before the third trimester, at least, that body is generally taken away from the ones that are telling the story about their relationship with the older members of the next level, or in mind or physically, face to face with them. And because it's never popular, and it basically becomes something to be persecuted and stamped out. And then the next stage to that by the Luciferians is to not only stamp out the instruments of that information, but to get rid of that information entirely, which the next level doesn't allow them to do, but they're allowed to twist it. Because the ones that are really thirsty are going to look through the twists, and they're not going to give up looking. And so, as a result, that gives an impetus to the ones that are still seeded with the living seed in their bodies, in their physical bodies, in their minds, to grow faster and grow further, especially when the next level comes the next time and brings that mind with them that enlightens the entire planet with light, in a real sense. We'll leave it at that for now.